Well, what's happening today? Well, I've got wood. Timber, in fact. Pine. Now, I've been to Bunnings and I had a bunch of timber cut. We're going to rejig some of my studio here by making a set of shelves. And now I've got everything leaned up on a little fire pot out the back here as well. Because this is just too big to fit inside either the workshop over there or the main studio inside. Which is also where I happen to sleep, as some of you keen observers might have noticed. We're not the most high budget production here. So yeah, I'm going to get my apprentice to help with some of this. She's off school today, so we're going to try and do something educational. And we've got a few things to lay out here. This won't be as detailed as most of my videos usually are, largely because MS is kind of whipping my ass right now and I've had a change of medication, so I can't really manage to get things done in quite the order I used to. But this will be a bit more of a jump cut episode where I'll jump cut between stages of assembly. So hopefully it's interesting for you guys, and hopefully we get there. I do also need to make sure I got enough material here. He gave me 2 pieces of that. I wonder if I'm missing a couple of pieces of timber. I'm going to have a look. Alright, so it's been a quick little cut, but another drive up the street to get my additional 2 pieces that I left behind, along with all the offcuts that are now leaning up over there. So now we can start building.
Yippee!
I've got to find my apprentice is going to help.
Yes, I will.
And I need to find out.
Twins.
This is going to be hard to get a sentence out soon. I'm going to need something to put under my knees as well. But yeah, we can get happening with all of this. Right, so the baskets we had attempted to put onto this are no longer in stock, but we'll see what we can do anyway.
Well, it was a bird skew.
Right, now I had intended to use plastic baskets that Bunnings sell by the bucket load, but they don't have any at the moment. So we're just going to proceed with the build anyway. I do have a couple floating around the house I can use to check. But this is the cutting diagram I left with the Bunnings guys. That gave us the dimensions. Now this is just a quick little diagram out of a very larger diagram that I've drawn up in AutoCAD. And this gives us the overall height and the spacing between the supports across here and the spacings between the inner surfaces of the shelf. So from that we should be able to construct the frame relatively quickly. So let's get a few things laid out and see what we can do. Just laying out to get everything sorted out, and I notice I've got a very badly split piece of wood. This could be a showstopper depending on how I assemble this. I think what I'm probably going to do is fill that with wood glue at some point, but I think that will become the top shelf because that's the least load bearing zone. And hopefully the way I'm doing this should spread the load out. That won't be a huge issue because this stuff is actually mass overkill for what I want to do. And my apprentice here has discovered the party lights we put out here. It's changing all the colours. That's a distraction. But anyway, she's trying to help. Alright, we've put the first screws in. I've taken 2 of my base supports and 2 of my crossbars. I've put 1 screw in each corner so that I can still move things around. I'm using these bits to square them up against. So even if these bits aren't perfectly square, things will still be aligned to the tops that I've got to put in here. And this is 6mm marine ply. This should be pretty bomb-proof stuff. I like making sturdy shells because I never know what's going to get put on them. In this case it'll be mostly clothes in baskets, but you never know with me, it could be something heavier. So I'm going to put 1 screw in. You know what, I might leave the screws out. I'll get this squared up. I'll put an extra additional screw in each corner, and then we'll start putting our uprights on the ends here, and we'll get going. And this guy's not screwed in. This is just to hold everything in position nice and squarely. We have our uprights in position. You can see over here. My apprentice is on bubble wrap duty at the moment, popping all the bubble wrap. These screws though, for being 3 or 4 stainless, are very soft. They're getting almost up to the right tension and then they're just chewing out. So maybe I need to set my clutch on this thing a little bit. But anyway, let's keep going. Right, we've got our first one stacked up and our offcuts work out exactly plus 20mm. So I can pack everything up like this. My apprentice has picked up the pattern and she's found the longer screws which have solved some of our problems. And now we're cooking with gas. And we found the sheet in the back, which I normally pull out. So she's learnt that from me too. All right, let's keep going. So my apprentice here is helping measure everything. We're up to our second shelf of 4. 2 of 4, she just dropped the measuring tape and spread screws everywhere, but that's her job, I guess. That's all right. We'll put some more, we'll stack some more spaces on and we'll keep going up. This shouldn't take too long to build. Alright, so we've got all 4 shelf foundation framework done. I've done everything up with just single screws so the whole lot can still rack. So we'll probably either put some corner brackets on, which I have thousands of, or I'll put some extra screws in. Although I think the corner brackets might be the way to go. And at that point we'll be putting the surfaces on everything. So let's keep going. Alright, we're starting on the bottom shelf first so that as I screw this in I can see where I'm screwing, for lack of a better description, on the way up. And I'm using Maxim brand short screws for these, chipboard screws. They're getting hard to get. I buy them by the box of 1,000. I'm running out and the store that used to sell them doesn't anymore and Bunnings doesn't stock them, so might be an online order. But anyway, let's keep cracking at it. Alright, we have the surfaces on. Now, before people start screaming at me and saying this looks ugly, I know, it's very agricultural. It's designed to go together very quickly, very cheaply, and perform a task with a fairly decent load rating. So, yeah, it's not designed to look pretty, it's designed to do a job. It still looks prettier, however, than the system we currently have in place. I am kind of pissy about this, but I've put that on the corner that's going to be not visible. It's going to get shoved into a corner, out of the way where we can't see it. Also, one of the problems of having somebody else cut timber for you is they're not always accurate. So on the rear, where we won't be seeing it, all the inaccurate cuts are all lined up. And yes, I did measure this, and yes, I did put a square on, but the guy that was doing it was in a bit of a hurry. So we have some fairly big tolerances in here. That being the case, I was prepared for it and I designed this to be tolerant of those inaccuracies. So you see here, I can almost get my little finger in that gap. There's such a huge difference in length. But plywood and pine often come with bends and curves and whatnot in it. So this design had loads of headroom, except for the top shelf, which for reasons I'll explain later, is very tight. However, if I sit my camera down on this shelf down here, I'll put this basket in place on this shelf, and we'll have a look and see there's loads of room on these lower shelves to fit everything in. There's loads of headroom. So this will probably need a sand and a paint, but I'm going to put it in situ first and see. At least with this system we can pull the baskets off, rip it out, paint it and sand it without having to empty every single drawer out and disassemble things. So I'm hoping this system's going to work very well. The lady of the house, aka my financial manager, has been asking for this for quite some time. Now I'm going to take some of these little tiny screws and see if I can settle that split down just a little bit. And I can't find my wood glue. I think it's all gone hard. So I did have Gorilla Wood glue, which would have fixed that right up. So I'm just going to whack a couple of screws in there. But for the amount of weight that's going to be on this, that will be plenty, even with the crack. Alright, let's see if we can fix this up. Alright, so a marginal improvement on this. It could be worse, but it could also be a lot better. Either way, that's a lot less likely to snag somebody. And that'll be in a corner where it's safely away from people. Now what I do need to do is find a bit of sandpaper and at least take some corners off these. Just so it's not so grabby. So yeah, it still racks a little bit left and right, so we might still put a couple of corner brackets in there yet. But I'll keep adding screws till it sturdies up anyway. But we're doing pretty well so far. So it's time for corner brackets. I'm not sure exactly how many of these I have. I measured them by the kilogram. I just reached into the box and grabbed a handful. A local hardware store closed down, so I helped them pack up, and my repayment was some of the old stock. So yeah, I'm going to use a few of these to help sturdy things up. Oh, and I've also sanded everything off. Made an improvised sanding block out of a piece of wood here. And I think that's 400 grit paper. It's just taken all the burrs off the edge, so it's just nice. Still feels kind of square, but it's also not grabby, so we're happy with that. Alright, let's put some of these in. Got brackets in under the corner here. Got a couple of dozen of them. Everything is a lot sturdier now. It's not racking so much. And I've used the last of that box of screws to help sturdy everything up. So we should be good. Time to see if it fits, which means removing everything. But that bit, you don't want to see that part of my studio. So for now, this is going to call this done. This is just a quick filler video. So yeah, we may paint this at some stage. We may sand it back, everything like that. But for now, I've got to get it into service. I don't have the time or the room to film that, and the place looks disgusting. So this will be allowing us to clean that up and organize that area. So with luck, you'll see that once it's done. But for now, this has been a little quickie. I'm sorry I'm not getting real quality stuff out like I normally am. There's been a lot of stuff going, a lot of personal things too that you're not aware of. We may or may not discuss them at a later date. I'll decide what's worthy for the public in the near future. But for now, hope this was fun. We'll see you all in the next one.